All right, today we're talking about AI. We're going to look at the good, the bad, and, yeah, the genuinely scary stuff. We'll explore the incredible promise, the hidden dangers, and the very strange future it's creating for all of us. So, let's start with a really big question. What happens when the internet is no longer fully human?
I mean, seriously, think about it. You're scrolling through your feed, and doesn't everything feel a little off? The comments seem a little too similar, the images a bit too perfect. Even the people, they just don't always seem, real.
Yeah, that feeling? It's not just in your head. It gets down to this one fundamental question we all have to grapple with now. If an AI can create a face, a voice, an opinion that is completely indistinguishable from a real person's, well, then the very idea of what we trust online starts to fall apart, doesn't it? And look, this is the key thing to get right up front. We're not just interacting with other people anymore. We're interacting with people who are using AI, with AI that's generating its own content, and sometimes with AI that's just talking to other AI. The whole game has changed. But okay, before we get all doom and gloom, let's actually start with the good stuff, because there's a lot of it.
For all the anxiety, it's so important to remember that AI is, at its core, a tool. And it's a tool that is already doing some truly revolutionary things for people's lives, everywhere, from the doctor's office to a construction site.
So what does this actually look like in the real world? Well, we're talking about things like robotic arms that give someone with paralysis the ability to feed themselves again. Think about that, the independence that brings back. We're talking about AIs that look at medical scans and can spot cancer, sometimes even more accurately than a human doctor. Out on the streets, you've got autonomous vehicles making it easier for everyone to get around. And on job sites, AI is taking over the dangerous, repetitive tasks, keeping people safe and letting them focus on the really creative, complex problems. And that really gets to the heart of it all. I love this quote from Dylan Lucy at Virginia Tech. He says, "This isn't some far-off sci-fi dream. This is about delivering a higher quality of life for real, everyday people. It's about using technology to open doors that used to be slammed shut." It's a really powerful way to think about it.
Okay, but there's always a but, isn't there? What happens when this amazing, powerful tool is built using broken materials? This is where all that incredible promise crashes right into some pretty serious and often damaging unintended consequences. We have this idea that AI is this pure, objective thing, all cold, hard logic, but that's just not true. At the end of the day, an AI only knows what we teach it. And the data we feed it? Well, it's a mirror of our world, warts and all. All our history, all our biases, it all gets baked right in. And listen, this isn't some academic debate. This stuff has real consequences for real people. In healthcare, one system ended up giving healthier white patients priority over sicker Black patients. How? Well, it was trained to think that how much you spend on healthcare equals how sick you are, which is just wrong. In hiring, you've got AI tools that literally learn to be sexist, filtering out female candidates. We've seen predictive policing send more officers into minority neighborhoods, just reinforcing existing biases. Even medical devices, like pulse oximeters, are simply less accurate for people with darker skin. The AI isn't just learning our biases, it's putting them on steroids.
So, what do we do about this? How do we fix it? Well, it starts with demanding better. The data we use has to be diverse, it has to look like the real world. We need to be constantly checking these systems for bias, like a regular audit. And this is huge. A human needs to stay in the loop. AI is a co-pilot, not the pilot. Finally, we have to push for what's called explainable AI. We need these systems to show their work, so we're not just dealing with a black box.
And the hidden costs aren't just social, they're physical, they're environmental. I mean, the massive data centers that power all this AI, they use an insane amount of electricity. They drink up tons of water just to stay cool. All this digital magic has a very real, very heavy cost for our planet. And that hunger for resources really shows you just how alien this kind of intelligence is from our own.
And that brings us to the part that's, well, genuinely a little scary. Think about this. What happens when you have a tool that's better at persuading you than any human, but has zero understanding of what it actually means to be human? Okay, so this is where things get a bit more existential. We're moving past just unintended side effects and into something that really messes with our whole sense of reality. The line between what's real and what's fake is just dissolving. This quote from Martin Hilbert at UC Davis really hits home. He says these systems have so much data on you, they know exactly how to trigger you. They know you better than your family, your partner, everyone. And he's right. Social media algorithms have been doing this for years, but AI just takes it to a whole new level. It can find your emotional buttons with scary, scary accuracy.
And wow, is it effective. There was this study at UC Davis where they had people text with an AI chatbot to encourage them to exercise, and they told the people, hey, you're talking to a bot. But even knowing that, some of them still walked away convinced they've been chatting with a real person. We're just wired to see humanity everywhere, and that makes us super vulnerable to this technology.
And this points to a really big blind spot for AI. A Stanford study highlighted this perfectly. If you tell an AI you believe something that's factually wrong, like the old myth that we only use 10% of our brains, it doesn't know what to do. It just tries to correct you. It doesn't get that you have a belief, a perspective. It only knows facts. But think about it. To really work together, to collaborate, you have to be able to understand someone else's point of view, even if it's wrong. AI can't do that. Not yet anyway. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Jobs. It's one of the biggest fears, right? And yet, AI is going to automate a ton of tasks, inspections, data crunching, all of it. And that will absolutely cause some real pain and displacement. But it's not quite that simple. Experts are quick to point out that it's also creating brand new jobs we never even thought of. AI specialists, data ethicists, you name it. So the real challenge isn't just about jobs disappearing. It's about this massive, massive challenge of retraining pretty much everyone to work in this new world.
Okay, so we've got the good, the bad, and the scary. What now? Where do we go from here? Well, it leaves us in a place where we kind of have to rethink how we see the world. And it seems like the new foundation for everything is going to be built on one simple thing: trust.
And here's the wild part, the big twist in all of this. As the internet gets flooded with more and more artificial content, something really interesting starts to happen. Being real, being authentic, suddenly becomes a superpower. Real personality, real opinions, real imperfections. All of that stuff starts to stand out like a beacon in a sea of synthetic sameness. This is the fundamental shift. Think of it this way. The old internet was all about information. Whoever had the most information won. But the new internet? It's all about trust. When a machine can create infinite information in a split second, the only thing that has any real value is knowing who and what you can actually believe. And this isn't just some fuzzy social idea. This is about economics. When everything starts to feel fake, people will pay with their money, with their attention, with their time, for anything that feels real. The people and the brands who are going to win in this new era aren't just the smartest or the fastest. They're going to be the most trusted. Authenticity isn't a soft skill anymore. It's your most valuable asset. So no, the internet isn't dying. It's just evolving into something completely new. And as all of us try to find our way through this strange, synthetic world, the most important question we're all going to have to ask ourselves over and over again is a simple one. Who and what are you going to trust?